The hiring landscape has changed forever. That we probably know. But what do we do now? That's what we'll talk about today on Culture Builder Live. Hey, I'm Chris Wink. I am the CEO and co-founder of Technically. We're the news organization with a community of technologists and entrepreneurs. Community of professionals is what we say. Today, a story that we're tracking and have been quite interested. It's essentially, what does hiring from a home city even mean, particularly among tech workers, where there's at least been a growth of remote work? We'll point out, still numbers suggest about 15% of firms might be entirely remote. When you look at software, that grows a bit, but still probably no more than a quarter of companies will be fully remote. So majority of companies are still hiring in or around some versions of cities. So to talk about that, I have Melissa Richardson. I've known her for years, but in this case, she's a vice president of team success at Kleer. They're a dental care disruptor, we'll go with. Melissa, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
I appreciate you being here. So, Melissa, you are here because you have been in this work for years. How do we build great teams? And typically, I know you as someone who has been around. I'm hiring in or around an office. I'm building great team culture in cities that are not Silicon Valley, but have real global competitiveness. Things have changed the last couple of years, right? Can you just maybe start with me first with how has your world changed from the perspective of the career you've had? What's different today than it was in 2019?
Yeah, I've been in the game for quite some time, as you mentioned. Been doing this for about 15 years now, and I've never in my career experienced a hiring landscape like the one that we're in.
Right.
Just from a remote standpoint, we've gone from recruiting in our own backyard to trying to compete for talent against companies all across the country. And so it has completely shifted in terms of you have got to be in front of candidates all the time. I read a couple of weeks ago, actually, that the amount of touch points needed to engage with talent before they will even have a conversation with you has gone from 6 to 11. Think about the amount of times that you need to be in front of talent and do it faster than all of your competitors. And also just the amount of positions that are available has increased so significantly. So, you could post a job at 9 o'clock in the morning and you're on page 1 of the search results, and 30 minutes later, you go back and you've already been completely washed out by 200 other openings for the same position, and it's companies across the entire country.
I beat this drum a bit just because I'm interested in it, and it seems obviously I think we're still hovering around 1.8 job openings for all roles. That's across the economy. When you look inside industries, it ranges a bit, but for many tech roles, it holds at that level or above. I come back a lot to the sales comparison, just because competitive environments, sales teams have had this conversation for years. The job search results you talk about are so similar to digital marketers talking about search page results. Oh, you cannot be on the second page of Google or whatever. That's why I'm obsessed with this comparison of content marketing that sales and marketing teams have built in the last 20 years, knowing that, to your point of touch points, like we have to find ways to make sure our brand and our product can be even vaguely known before we're ever going to move someone down funnel. And on the hiring side, it still feels like we're struggling to confront that. It's a similar strategy that I still sometimes get that, email from a source or that startup we've covered that'll say like, hey, why can't we hire someone? It's like, because no one knows who you are. You're basically saying, why can't anyone buy my burger? Because no one knows that your burger is even worth trying. So maybe talk to me a little bit about how much that fits. Like, you got to make sure someone even knows that Kleer is serious, respected, a real player before you ever even talk mid-funnel or down funnel as a recruiter. Is that something you're talking about? Are you doing funnel conversations on the hiring team with the heightened pressure the last 2 years has put on?
Absolutely. But even before I came to Kleer, that was something that I was discussing with them, even in my interview process, because I feel so passionately that you spend thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, marketing dollars, on trying to attract leads, to come and buy your product. It is the exact same concept on the recruitment side. And you might not have as much money, but the same rules apply. People are not going to apply to your company, just as you said, if they have no idea who you are. So you need to be everywhere, and you need to be playing your game, not everybody else's. You're not worried about, well, this company's doing this, or they have more resources, or they have bigger salaries to offer because they're larger than me. They have the reputation of their brand. Figure out what is really important to your company, to your culture, why someone would want to be there, and then you've got to sell the heck out of it. And you can do it very cost effectively. Use your social media, use your employees, use their social medias, just making sure that you are seen everywhere that the people you're targeting are looking, because otherwise you're irrelevant.
Yeah. Well, so you are interesting among many others for a central reason. You specifically, but Kleer as a company are doing this thing where you do hire remotely, but you do also have offices. You do have a hybrid strategy. This is the majority of tech and software companies doing some version of this. A couple of years ago, you and I were in a lot of these tech ecosystems that, God bless us, for 10 years had grown up in a very healthy way. There was this balance of, we're collectively in a given city around this country, around this world, that are like working with, trying to add capacity and technical skills. It was more companies and industries were getting involved. And there was a sense that locally we're growing an economic conversation where people can float in or around these various companies. Then the last 2 years has accelerated remote work. By most counts, remote work opportunities have at least tripled the number of hours collectively across the economy. As you alluded to, opening seems to imply this is going to continue to grow. Has hiring from a home city changed forever? Like, will we ever have the strategy of hiring technical talent in a home city be like it was in 2019, or is it different now forever?
I think that it's different. However, I'll give you an example. We were hiring for sales development reps. Every company right now is hiring for sales development reps. It's become one of the most sought after positions.
I've heard this. Yeah, the SDR thing it's showed up in a few conversations. All right, SDRs yes. Out there listening. You're in particular demand. Got it. Yep.
Yes. And at first we had listed it as hybrid, and we had only, after 2 weeks, maybe gotten 15 applications. I mean, nobody was applying to it. And we were just getting washed out on the job boards with the amount of openings there were across the country for this particular position. We changed it to fully remote because we do offer the flexibility to choose if you would like to work fully remote or come in on a hybrid schedule. So we changed it to fully remote just to see if we could open up the candidate pool across the country. We ended up getting over 100 applications in 2 days, and most of those applications were for people in our own backyard. So what I'm finding is, I don't know if it's necessarily so much about being fully remote as giving the power to the employee to choose the flexibility of how they want to work and the environment they want to work in, because work-life balance means different things to different individuals. Some people, they want to 100% be at home. They enjoy that. That's how they work best. And there are other individuals who want to come in 4 to 5 days a week. And then you've got the people who they want a combination of the two, where they still get the socialization and the collaboration of coming in office, but want to be able to work from home as needed. So I think the conversation has more so shifted to, how do you recruit in a way that offers that flexibility while still delivering the results that you need, obviously, to grow your business.
I want to hit on this example you gave of the SDR that listing as remote grew the applicants, even though many of them still were in nearer to your home offices, your headquarters. Because it seems like there's a couple stories inside of that. One, backing us up to that the employer brand that I feel like we come back to so often. It still feels like we're not wrapping our heads around the importance of that, of just like even known as an employer of choice. I think of another kind of company and CEO conversation of mine saying they made this shift to entirely remote, um, and still found themselves, not always, but hiring in their home market more than not because of any bias, but because, as the CEO said to me, like they had existing network, they had an employer brand, and so they were commanding higher and stronger talent. Isn't always the case. Over time, that shifts. Is you're noting it's more tools, and sometimes your differentiation might be that you're a known entity with serious professionals. If
Mhm.
you already have people in-house who can speak to within network, yes, Kleer's a great place to work. That becomes very easy to then convert. It's just a little bit trickier if you don't have that brand outside. That seems like part of the story. So you're noting that remote work is a thing that people want, but you still got to be known as a company. So if you happen to be known as a company in a geographic or in a like a language or a framework community, that becomes a strength. It helps to be known for some differentiation on the hiring side, just like it's helped to be known for something on the sales and marketing side. That fair?
Yes, absolutely. And I would add to that, when another big change that has happened in recent years is the retention of employees with companies has been drastically reduced. I read it's changed to 9 months. By month 6, employees are starting to ask themselves, do I find this work fulfilling? Like, do I care about what I'm doing? But
Mm-hmm.
also, do I see opportunities for growth and advancement? And if I don't see it with my current company, I'm going to go somewhere else because people are hiring all over the country, and so they're leaving for better opportunities, for more pay, for career advancement. um, and so another thing that you really have to capitalize on are your success stories of your current employees.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not only about just going out and finding that talent, but making sure that people know that there is opportunity for advancement. There are career paths. These are the success stories. We've had, just this past year, 13 internal promotions at Kleer
Mm.
out of new positions that we've created, just because we took a step back and we were like, okay, let's look at the talent we have and how we can better utilize them in various positions in the company, how we can move them, and then continue to kind of backfill for those roles, and grow our talent from within. And you got to make sure that so it's almost, there's so many different factors, right? Because when you're branding, they need to know that you exist. They need
Mm-hmm.
to know why they should want to come there, how you're differentiating yourself, that the work is meaningful, that there's flexibility, and that once they get there, there's opportunities for them for why they would want to stay and then not leave and go somewhere else. So we've got our hands full for sure.
That's a way of putting it. I'm gonna lose you in a sec, but I'm gonna loop back on that point in a moment. But first, let's take our topic head on. Some of the embedded logic is a portion of our largest big tech platforms have extended remote work opportunities. Not all, as you alluded to when you and I were talking about this before our call. Some are doing return to office. So some Silicon Valley companies are still, expecting that folks live within some commutable distance to their offices. But we have factually seen a tripling of hours that can be done remotely. So there are factually more competitors in all technical hiring environments.
Mhm.
Um, Kind of curious, what are you seeing as differentiations for smaller, either at the startup stage or just, they're going to remain smaller. What are those differentiations that smaller companies have when competing against big tech for technical talent? Or put another way, are smaller companies able to compete if someone's aiming to go to a big tech company?
Yeah, I absolutely think so. And so one of the things, that I had mentioned early on was, don't worry about what the big companies are doing, right? Do not try to play their game. You've got to play yours. And so figure out your culture and why someone would want to be there. Things that are incredibly important to the individuals that I'm talking to, for our openings: career advancement, which we already talked about, DE&I, right? I cannot even tell you how many individuals have reached out to me through LinkedIn,
Hmm.
through just networking, because they've seen that we're not just talking about it. It's not just a statement or we're committed to this, but we're actually putting our words into action. We're showing people the steps that we're taking around career advancement opportunities, equal pay transparency, our benefit offerings, the events that we're having to support our team across all of our DE&I strategy. That has very much come to the forefront. So people care about that. Also, in big companies, you oftentimes feel like you're a cog in a wheel. You can't get a lot done because there's so much red tape. And so with smaller companies, you get your hands in everything. You get to wear multiple hats. There's a lot more opportunity for cross-functional collaboration for your own growth and development. You really get the opportunity to make a big impact in a smaller company that you might not get, or it could be lost in bigger companies. And so if you focus on those benefits, the intangibles, then people who want that, they're going to want to have a conversation with you.
Yeah, that's interesting. I just am going to throw this up as a, oh, actually, I'm not going to throw that up because it didn't work. I was going to share an example of what you said, but I can push through because I'm actually over time here anyway. The point you hit on is again brings us back to this idea of how do you compete for talent? It can follow the same logic of how do you compete for your product and offering. That there's like a sales and candidate journey track that for me consistently seems very common. How do you do it on the sales side? We know that. You say, what are our product differentiations? And let's go market what we do better, differently than others. Hiring journey, it's the same thing. Like, why do the people who work at your company already, why are they happy? What differentiations do you have than others? And that seems to be a theme of this conversation of, just like on the sales side, what's your differentiation, and exploit it.
Exactly.
Fair. Yeah. Melissa, I'm over. I gotta let you go. Thank you for checking it in. Always interested to see what you're seeing because you are in it. So your perspective is always valuable. Thanks for sharing some of it, Melissa.
Yeah. Thanks so much for having me, Chris. It was great to catch up.
Appreciate it. We'll talk to you real soon. All right, everyone. See you next week. This is Culture Builder Live. Bye.